Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here today. It's a really interesting combination of topics, open innovation, IP, and IP advocacy. The opinions I will express will be my opinions, of course, and cannot be attributed to Nokia. So therefore, I can be also a little bit more provocative than it would otherwise be the case. Today's global economy is a knowledge-based economy with a tireless thirst for disruptive innovation and fast innovation cycles. And this has led to the increased importance of open innovation, where unlimited global talent is bundled to boost the value creation process. Open innovation is not new. It is at the heart of Nokia's culture to cooperate and to engage with others in developing ideas and joint value creation. If we look at the next slide, it shows how Nokia looks at today. Thank you. So basically we see that nowadays we provide the infrastructure, the communication infrastructure, fixed and mobile broadband to the communication service providers or telecom operators if you prefer, but it goes far beyond that already. So we also provide, you see, the two guys working on a plane, putting an antenna, so we will provide connectivity as of this year to airplanes, not only for the airline companies, but also for the guests, so that you will have your data connection in the plane, which will actually be much, much more affordable than if it was connected by satellites. We also provide connectivity to subways and to trains, and here also it doesn't include only communications, but it also allows you to control the train, so manage the train, manage how it drives, the switches, etc. The man with the backpack, there in the backpack you see the world's most compressed mobile network that you can use for emergency cases. You can use it in remote areas. First responders can use it, can be connected within minutes. If you send it into the sky with a balloon, you can have a coverage of 80 square kilometers and connect first responders to it. Then we are involved in trials on automated and connected driving. We also develop 3D cameras, virtual reality. To the left you see our digital solutions in the digital health area. We have started to license our brand also, for instance, to Helsinki mobile devices. That brings back the Nokia brand to smartphones, to the smartphone markets. And last but not least is also the fact that we are very strong in innovation. We invest about 4 billion euros annually in R&D, and we file about 1,300 patents annually. And here it's a small part of our business. It's roughly 4% of our turnover, but nevertheless very important because we need to recover some of our R&D costs through licensing. And if you look at that, if you see so many areas of activity, it's quite clear that a company such as ours can't possibly invent everything on our own. We need really to cooperate as much as possible with others. We need open innovation. I remember that having seen internal analysis that goes back 7 years from now, that was measuring the value of open innovation for the company. So it's really not something new. And it's not only a Nokia thing, it's very much reflected also in the Finnish DNA. And it has become a shared value across Europe very much. So when you look at the history of EU-funded research, and especially the mobile telecommunications sector, it has basically been based on the success of R&D cooperation and deep technology standardization, where you really develop the technology together in the standardization. Yeah. So open innovation, what is it actually? So it stands for the use of external knowledge and talent for enhancing your company internal creativity in order to exploit the full potential of the company's value-adding, value-creating assets. And open innovation is broadly accepted as a major driver also for improved customer value and choice. But open innovation, well understood, does not mean that you provide something for free, like ideas, the R&D resources and results, but you share those with R&D partners to come up with a better approach, with a better competitive approach. And it is very much patent protection that allows companies at the first place not only to commercialize their ideas and solutions, but to safely enter into R&D collaborations, allowing to protect, to disclose, and to share at the same time. On the next slide, I have listed a few examples of Nokia innovation, but there are more. So we have platforms where you can submit inventions that can be developed then together with Nokia. We have innovation challenges, competitions. We have a co-working space at our headquarters where we invite entrepreneurs in order to foster a dialogue amongst them, but also with Nokia. And if you're interested in more, I can go more into detail and provide further examples, of course. So to recap, it is mainly patent protection in this area that allows companies to safely enter into R&D and innovation collaborations at the first place, allowing them to protect, disclose, and share. And this is generally appreciated in Europe amongst the creative communities. One example is IIPLA. It's the association representing 350 research and technology organizations in Europe. And those research and technology associations are really deeply rooted in carrying out collaborative R&D with academia, with SMEs, but also with larger companies. And IIPLA strongly supports open innovation and collaborative value creation, facilitated and secured by intellectual property rights. So the value capture under conditions that enable each partner of the collaboration to capture a share of the economic value that is created in common. And this is, of course, usually achieved by patent licensing and the royalties you get, which are proportional to the contribution to the project and the commercial use made of the results. This sets powerful incentives for technology creators to co-create and for technology buyers to innovate on top, thereby maintaining and thriving a vibrant technology marketplace. And at the same time, the costs and benefits of the research are allocated proportionally between all the parties that participate and invest. And it is also recognized by the public authorities in Europe. The most important one being the European Commission. They actually fund R&D. They're the biggest funder, I think, of R&D in Europe, since they spend roughly 11-12 billion euros a year. And they have created an IPR help desk, and the IPR help desk has issued a brochure where it's very well described how you should manage your intellectual property if you engage in open innovation. And it's also an underlying theme in everything they do. So they have created an open innovation strategy policy group. They publish open innovation yearbooks, and they organize conferences. The last one just took place in Romania last week. Yes. So of course there are also IP or patent opponents, and they typically refer to perhaps just also to mention that openness and fairness is often misused by the opponents of IP and patents. And they typically refer to software when they want to make their claims that software platforms are more successful without patents, and that even patents can disturb open innovation. But one has to recognize that the software industry is very diverse. So software is also developed for industrial controls, of course, aircraft, communication technologies, medical imaging, etc., where the applications are very different when it comes to complexity, robustness and longevity in the marketplace compared to the more consumer-oriented software like social media, mobile apps, etc. And even the critiques of software generally, when it comes to consumer-oriented software, they are protected. Maybe not by patents, maybe copyright suits them better, or maybe they don't open the application programming interfaces, but they have some sort of protection. They just don't have to rely on patents to protect themselves as it is necessary in the more industrial oriented applications. So they have usually a more narrow perspective or interest, or they have other market barriers that make it possible for them not to rely on IP. Then I would like to give another example of an initiative that actually wants to weaken the patent protection in a very specific area where it suits them, and that is patents related to standards. So, of course, standards are incredibly useful for a tool for open innovation and co-creation, and the maintenance of a balanced system is extremely important in that area. You would not contribute to standardization, you would not contribute your technology if you were not sure afterwards that you can license it to those that actually use the standard, implement the standard, because those companies typically compete with you and would have, of course, an unfair advantage if you invest into the technology development and standardization, and they could simply use it. But there are, of course, always businesses out there that think it's nice to discredit patent protection in that area simply because they can secure themselves then a better access in a way that they have to pay less to those that develop the standards. But let's not forget that the alternative to open standards, which implement also open innovation, where everybody can participate, are closed proprietary solutions controlled by just a few normally very big players. And that's not the right solution, at least that we would like to have on the digital single market in Europe. So my plea would be, we all benefit from IP, and so do our societies. Let's avoid opportunistic behavior. Let's avoid to ask the regulator to weaken IP and to intervene in specific cases just because maybe it would suit us and maybe we would have to pay less licensing, etc. And especially if you combine that with lobbying, it's very, very dangerous, because lobbying in this area is like playing with fire. You will always find enough people that are critical and don't understand IP or patents, and are very happy to join the stream and ask the regulator to weaken IP protection. But let's not forget that you know, if there are calls for regulated or free access to intangible assets, that harms to all of us, and that can go. The threat is it will go beyond IP. So you have already calls for others that want regulated or free access to data, to platforms, anywhere where businesses invest into something and build up something. You will always find people that want to get free access to that. And it's particularly dangerous in Europe, because in Europe we have, at the European Union, a lawmaker that really very much likes setting policy that then develops into a global norm. And they are very much convinced that they are very good at that. And in some areas they actually really are, and they have set global standards, for example, in sustainability, in eco-design, in substance bans. And they want to expand that now into data protection, to really have a very restrictive approach to data protection, and to export that so that every business around the world that wants to do business with Europe has to comply to those standards. And the risk, of course, is that if you give them the wrong ideas in some areas, they may also want to regulate access to IP, to patents, to data, to platforms, etc. So, as a conclusion, I would say let's be careful with what we are asking for. It's clear, it has been expressed also before that patents are very important, for example, for in the area of software. Maybe not to protect software as such or per se, but as soon as you have a technical, you make a technical contribution or you solve a technical problem, it is very important. It is absolutely a prerequisite if you're serious about open standardization to have solid IP protection. And it is also an enabler of open innovation. Of course, you can always improve details here and there, but let's not question the IP or the patent system as such in any area, because this can be quite dangerous. Thank you.